You know those stories that start with once upon a time? Of course you do. You've heard them a million times. They feel so familiar, so simple. But what if I told you there's a whole secret history hidden inside these tales? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the real magic, the mystery, and the meaning behind the fairy tales we all think we know. Okay, so to get into this, let's start with a classic, a story I'm pretty sure you know. Or at least you think you know. We're talking about Little Red Riding Hood. Let's just do a quick run through, shall we? So, it all starts out innocently enough, right? We're in a cozy little house, right on the edge of a big forest. A mother asks her daughter to do something kind, take this basket of food over to her sick grandmother. It's a sweet, simple scene of family life. But the second she steps into those woods, boom, she runs into a hungry wolf. And this is a key thing in these stories. The forest is never just a bunch of trees. It's the place where the normal rules just don't apply. Now, this wolf, he's a clever one. He gets the girl to tell him exactly where she's going, and then he just bolts. He gets to Grandma's house first, tricks his way inside, and, well, in the blink of an eye, poor Grandma is gone. So now, the wolf is actually in Grandma's bed, wearing her nightgown, just waiting. And when Little Red Riding Hood walks in, she can tell right away that something is very, very wrong. And this, of course, leads to one of the most famous conversations in history. She starts with the ears. And the wolf says, "All the better to hear you with, my dear." You can just feel the tension cranking up. She knows something's off, but she can't quite put her finger on it. Next up, the eyes. "All the better to see you with." The wolf's voice, trying to sound like Grandma's, must be getting a little bit creepier, a little more gravelly with every single line. And then, finally, she sees it. The thing that gives the whole game away. The mouth. This is it. The final, terrifying piece of the puzzle. "All the better to eat you with." And he jumps out of bed and gobbles her up. And in a lot of the oldest versions, that's it. Story over. The wolf wins. It's a pretty grim but powerful warning. But wait a minute. That's probably not the ending you grew up with, is it? There's another super popular version where a woodcutter just happens to be passing by. He hears the commotion, bursts in, and saves the day, freeing both Little Red and her grandma from the wolf's belly, totally fine. Okay, so having two totally different endings like that, one where everybody dies and one where everybody is saved, it raises a really big question. It kind of forces us to step back and ask, what exactly is this kind of story? I mean, seriously, how can the exact same story have two endings that are polar opposites? The answer to that question really gets to the heart of what these tales are all about. See, these stories are called folk tales, and the key thing to know is that they didn't start out in books. They were never written down by just one person. They were part of an oral tradition, stories told out loud, passed from person to person, generation to generation. And here's what makes a folktale tick. Because they were just spoken, nobody really knows who the original authors were. And over time, as different people told the story, they'd add their own little twists, maybe change a detail here or there. So variations in the story weren't just common, they were pretty much guaranteed. So, what this really means is that these stories are way more than just a plot. They are absolutely packed with symbols and deeper meanings. And a perfect example of this is the setting, the forest. I mean, think about it for a second. Little Red Riding Hood meets the wolf in the forest. Snow White runs away from the evil queen into the forest. Hansel and Gretel are abandoned, you guessed it, in the forest. It's never just a place, it's a symbol for the unknown, for danger, and for magic. And you can really see the two sides of the forest here. Back in the day, forests were actually dangerous places. You had bandits, wild animals. It was risky. The stories took that very real fear and just cranked it up to 11, turning it into this magical place where animals talk and houses can be made of candy. So all of this leads us to the biggest question of all, right? Why do we still tell these stories? After hundreds, maybe thousands of years, why are they still around? What gives them this incredible staying power? Well, it's because these tales are basically a form of cultural memory. They're like a common voice that echoes through time, carrying the wisdom and the warnings of all the generations that came before us. And at their very core, they were meant to teach a lesson. That really dark ending to Little Red Riding Hood, it's not just there for shock value. It's a terrifying and very effective way for a parent to say, hey, Listen to me. The world can be a dangerous place, and this is why you don't talk to strangers.
So, the next time you hear a fairy tale, try to look a little deeper, past the castles and the magic spells. See it for what it really is, an open door to an enchanted world, a world built on our oldest fears and our greatest hopes. They're an invitation, really. The only question is, which one will you enter next?